Hello.
Good morrow, ladies and gentlemen.
It is just us for now.
For now.
We may have a David joining us at some point.
We await the Angry Scotsman. It should be fairly soon. So that's nice. But for now, you are stuck with us. And don't go anywhere. You're not allowed. For we are talking about one of my favourite Lasers and Feelings episodes, I think, ever.
Probably the best.
Yes, yeah, it really was. It really was. I don't think it's going to be top for a while, but yeah, it was just some awesome moments in that. I was going to suggest, Josh, just to spring it on you at this extreme moment right now. We didn't actually end up getting a chance to talk about the last Dungeons and Dragons, so I thought we might. We did not. So I thought it might be a good idea to take like a couple of minutes just to have a quick chat about that.
Sure.
Maybe giving David a chance to actually pop in. Okay. So sorry to spring that on you literally now. But it was also a fun one, to be honest. I thought we sort of had a game. And good evening to you as well, Baker Mark. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah. But you may well remember, and you probably do remember, I'm 100% sure, that in the D&D episode, there are a few things that happened, but probably the most intriguing part, I think, for me was to do with the alcohol at the start. Just your face tells me about that.
Indeed.
So what was that about? Are you just a child trying to get drunk, or what was that for?
Okay, you might have to bear with me a minute because I need sort of like audio.
Okay, all right. I should. That's no worries. I'll continue talking whilst you're doing
that. I know you're asking me a question. I'm the only one here, but
so I'll be Josh. Well, you know,
answer that. Take a guess, and then I'll tell you if it was right.
Well, let's be honest. I feel fairly sure that he's just trying to get drunk, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
But yes, so maybe it's that. I think, to be honest with you, it's kind of that's the way it feels like the child is going. But
not really.
No.
To be fair, I think that was. Basically, it was just a joke.
Okay, fair enough.
Insofar as in D&D, there are spell components and things that you need to do in order to cast spells. One of which is sometimes you can have material components. So I had just got a new spell, False Life, which I don't think I ever actually used in that episode, as far as I recall. And one of its material components is alcohol.
Okay.
So I'd seen that before the episode started, and I was like, well, I can make a bit out of that, because wouldn't it be funny if I was just going around shopping for alcohol in order to cast my new spell? But then just went up to and just asked some like random shopkeeper for it, as opposed to going to like a material component type person who would normally have that kind of thing.
The problem is once you put something like that in our heads, we start to run with it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, you saw what happened. It ended up being a morning beach party. I think it turned into in the end, which was completely ridiculous.
I mean.
I feel like that was for the greater benefit in the end.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I mean, the thing that got me about that D&D episode was the dice rolling, because I mean, I think we already said it in the chat of the when we watched the latest Lasers and Feelings back, that the dice rolls in that were perfect for what we were trying to do. They really told the story. However, in the D&D, they did not tell the story.
Not so
They basically blocked everything we tried to do, and it was quite funny, to be honest. Oh, hold on, we have.
Hello.
Hey, hello, mate.
How's it going?
You in?
Wow, that's loud. Deafened myself.
We can't hear David at the moment. Well, I can't.
No.
Anyway.
We'll get there in a second.
All right. Whilst you're trying to sort that out, I will just say that. So can't hear you all, mate. Sorry.
Okay, he's working on
No
it.
worries. So, so the beach party was quite fun, although you guys will probably remember that we were trying to do some speeches and come up with a few ideas and things like that, and none of them worked, which was incredibly annoying. I definitely had some ideas for different things, and nothing was being granted. But that's how the dice roll. Whoa, that's the face there.
Beautiful face. Oh,
And now we can hear you. Lovely.
man.
You made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I jinxed myself and said, hey guys, I'm going to make a 9 on dot. It's like, there are slight delays. I'm fuck. I'm also going to disappear on my phone in a second because I haven't eaten. I'll be ordering food. Thanks very much.
Hey.
Live on the stream.
That's alright.
So,
Mukbang.
That's allowed. So just to finish off the D&D stuff, and there is only one other bit that I sort of wanted to mention was the, we took somebody from the party and managed to head off into the woods and got lost thanks to the child, I think. But then we had what I thought was quite an epic battle with some beetles, and that was probably one of the most difficult fights I think we've ever done. Because the thing is we're always trying to come up with different ideas and things like that, but these things just wouldn't bloody die. And the amount of hits it took, and the fact that like standard melee attacks, swords and stuff like that, just would not work, was a real pain in the arse.
I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it, with a big old swarm of beetles?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, it's 100% right, but it was just like it was sort of a we had to think in a different way, I think, which is where the fire idea came out of.
I think that's what's interesting about D&D and the sheer scale of it, is that you do get these like very, very different types of challenges, and you have to adapt your thinking to deal with them. Otherwise, it's a problem. Yeah.
But I will say that Nightbreeze somehow became an absolute legend in that fight, and it won't happen again, don't worry. But somehow I became really good in that one fight from out of nowhere. So,
had to happen at some point, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had to have my moment in the sun somewhere. So yeah, it was quite nice, but I mean, don't expect it to happen again.
I don't think anybody is.
But yes, very interesting D&D episode. Very fun one, especially the first half just being so crazy, and David was kind enough to just let us run the silly ideas we were having. So I thought
you're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks very much, mate. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was sort of like half we actually played the game, and the other half we thought would do whatever we want. So,
well,
although I did look into your eyes once or twice, David, and saw the panic as you were thinking, "What the hell are they doing next?"
Whatever we want.
Yeah. But
Yes.
Really good episode. But we have a lasers and feelings to talk about.
Certainly do.
We do.
And
as I said at the start, this was a corker. Absolutely brilliant. So, I suppose first of all, unfortunately, we don't have Ben with us, so it's going to be limited chat around Barry, but of course there are some bits which we can obviously discuss.
Mate, we're fine.
Mate.
Yeah,
Mate.
all right, mate. But there was a brand new character that came to the table in this episode, a Mr. Jeffrey. Thank you for springing that on me, Josh.
It's my pleasure.
The Irish accent was good. It was so good that it started putting other people off. I think Ben and David both lost their accents because of the Irish.
Hey, that's Jeffrey for you. No, that's not, because that was slightly more Northern Irish. But to
be sure.
Yeah, to be might be sure. Yeah. Well, it's funny because Jeffrey was someone I had in my head for a while beforehand. I think pretty much after the episode where Jeffrey cropped up with Rot, episode 2, whatever it was. I think I had it in my head that Jeffrey was just another personality of his, hidden away in there, and that Rot knew about Jeffrey, and that's why. All hail Jeffrey. But I originally thought Jeffrey was going to be Australian, and then Ben turned up with an Australian android, and I was like, well, I can't do that anymore. So the next, it's difficult to have, because I think the thing is, you need, if you're gonna play a character with an accent, it does help to have an accent that you can just sit in fairly comfortably. And Irish is one of those that I can sit in fairly comfortably.
That's all right.
And not make it obscenely offensive to anyone.
Unlike some of my accents that are coming up in the next episode.
I'm just saying nothing.
Yeah. Yes, we really should say nothing. But yeah, no, that was it's quite fun actually to see how you would play that character, because it was a really nice cliffhanger from the last Lasers and Feelings. And I quite like Jeffrey as a character. He does what I tell him to until he doesn't, which is quite nice.
Until you realise he's been playing you the entire time, yeah.
Yeah. But that's the difference with Nan, and especially Rot, to be honest, is you never know where it's going. Whereas at least with Jeffrey, for a little while, he stayed on board to try and win the trust. That's it, exactly. Yeah. He's the brains of the operation.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, and that's exactly what I thought he should be. Is this kind of puppet master type character who is always in utter control of the situation until someone blows him up. But I mean, yeah, it's just interesting because it's just another form of chaos in that he has chaos but is in total control of it and uses it how he wants to. And I think it's just be trying to keep myself amused in many respects, but what can I do? It gets, having uncontrolled chaos with Rotten Nan is one thing, but it does wear thin at some point, and it's like, well, I don't mind just doing the mission too.
Yeah, but I thought it was a sort of a fun addition to the team, definitely.
Yeah, I hope he comes back.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I'm definitely waiting for that moment. And the thing is, I know you're going to spring it on me as well, so I'm going to be like, oh no.
Well, I think we kind of decided that it would only be once in a while with him, because I feel like the way he came through was with the EMP in the last episode, which again, I mean, that was just Dice telling the story in that I didn't specifically know that was going to happen, but it seemed like a very obvious thing to do when it did. So I was like, okay, his time has arrived. Off we go. But it'll have to be something like that again.
To be honest, I'd say it's actually Virgil telling the story because he's the one who plays the mine. Twice now. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, talking of that, maybe we should talk a bit more about the episode. So it sort of starts off with Hobbs. Security officer Hobbs actually coming in, telling you about this distress call from the SS Blink. I have a little tidbit for you. Does anyone know why I called the craft the Blink?
Is it a Doctor Who thing?
that would have been even better. Damn it! Yes, let's say it's that. No, it's not that. There is a not particularly well-known character in the X-Men called Blink who can phase in and out of different realities. Which is what ends up happening to the ship. So
premeditated.
Yeah.
Jeffy approves.
It was originally called something else. I can't remember what it was, but then last minute I was like,
Shape
wonder if... yeah. I just thought, I wonder if I can come up with something a bit more clever. But yeah, a bit of a deep cut, but yeah.
Hey, love a deep cut.
Indeed. So yeah, I just about managed to get out the information about the Blink, and then of course Hobbs is given a lovely burger to eat from our good friend Barry. Now,
hey, Becky.
I will. Hey, how's it going? I will say the one thing about Barry that I will not miss is the cooking. Yeah, no, that was. Oh, the thing is that he would just hand it out to everyone. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to roll for this, and of course, inevitably, the dice tells me that it's not very good. So.
Computer says no.
I think, to be fair to Barry, I think bad rolls on food happened maybe like twice.
Yeah,
it wasn't actually that much, but I mean, it's just funny.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sort of became a bit, didn't it? You had to keep it going.
Everything's a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so eats a terrible burger, throws up, and then we had a moment where everyone decided it was all too much because blood and gore and everything like that is, absolutely fine. But talking about mopping up sick, no, nobody can deal with it. Which was really funny at the time.
I think, it's one of those things, isn't it? The kind of weird societal differences that you have with these things, in that, someone having their head crushed in and their guts spilled everywhere and trodden all over the floor and their legs ripped off and all of that sort of business. Fine in context, But because I think, we're never going to see that, I would hope. Certainly hope. But everyone hates, having to clean up the sick. So.
Yeah.
I suspect most people have done it, to be fair.
Yeah.
At some point in their lives.
It was very funny. I know where the line is, so I know I can cross it.
To be fair, it's a squiggly fucking line. So
yeah. So I think So we had to, or you guys then left the bar and went to the shop, Griff's and Smith's Emporium. So I was going to ask, first of all, David, about your choice here, because, of course, this was all something done, that you'd asked me to sort out behind the scenes, should we say, to get you some grenades. But, of course, it wasn't something that was mentioned within the story until we got sort of further into it. So what was the idea around grenades? Was it just raise some hell?
Or? I think it's definitely become Virgil's bit, like his pre-ordered Amazon packages. No, it's just I don't know. I kind of because it's kind of at this point. I think it's kind of like mixed feelings now. And before I was trying to sabotage the guys because I just wanted to be left alone. And but, just kind of like, I thought last episode, I was like, having a grand old time, and then they just teleport in, and I'm just like, whereas this now, I'm kind of like, I don't know, I think he's kind of, because I don't think I used the grenades on them. I used them on something else.
Technically, you did use one on them.
Indirectly.
Yeah.
Pretty directly.
But then like yeah. So I think it's like and I still feel like I feel like Virgil's in this weird place right now. Before it was definitely subconscious. Now it's kind of like he's got the thing and he's looking at it and he goes, I mean, should I? I think he's definitely, I don't know, maybe the other two are twisting him to their chaotic ways. He's definitely been going that way. So maybe he's just kind of, should I just embrace the chaos?
Yeah. I mean, the funniest moments with Virgil is when he does lose it. That's great.
Oh, yeah, no, he does kind of lose his shit a bit. And I think that's why he's kind of like, maybe it's kind of that thing of he is a bit kind of uptight and the others are trying to loosen them up a bit.
Yeah.
In the most, chaotic way possible.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, we can't have things easy here, can we?
I mean, he's the balance really against the chaos of like, I know I will remain the same. I do not embrace the chaos. I will not have this. It just does counterbalance.
He's slowly breaking.
But this is the thing.
Well, everyone will.
This is what I tried to be with Nightbreeze, but it did work. Let's be honest. If anything, he's getting worse now.
Hey, the chaos calls. The chaos calls.
Oh yeah, it does. But so that was quite cool. I like the idea of having some secrets later on in the episode. I think that's awesome. But Jeffrey, of course, picked up some electronic equipment, and yes, that was quite interesting. What you sort of came up with there.
Oh, that was very premeditated.
Was it? I kind of thought it might.
When we get to that section, I will let you know just how premeditated all of that was.
Okay.
But yes, that was very much on purpose.
All right. Yeah.
Although I will say though, for the sake of talking shop, literally, the other bits in the other episodes weren't premeditated. That was just me riffing. There was things that I wanted to do. With Nan that I think we just didn't have time for because there was so much chaotic stuff going on. Oh no, I think it was the episode previous, and Nan got switched. Nan got switched before I could do the thing that I was going to do. But I still had all the stuff. But the thing for Jeffrey was very much premeditated. However, can I ask you a question? Because it was revealed that I didn't steal anything from the shop as Jeffrey because Jeffrey is isn't part of the plan.
Yeah,
and you revealed that there was in fact something ready for me to steal from the shop.
Gosh, yeah.
Do you remember what that was? Because I'm fascinated to know what I could have nicked.
I really don't, not off the top of my head now. Normally, so there's a few things that you guys haven't picked up from the shop that I've come up with. One of them I actually gave to Virgil a bit later on in the episode when he went looking for loot, which was the what was it called?
The welder thing.
Yeah, welder, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have been that, or one of a couple of other things, or some knee armor. In honor of
oh no, I would have definitely just been like no. Or I would have been like
where is he?
Yeah, where's Julian?
Where is he?
Yeah.
For some Julian.
Yeah. That's all I have to do now, just to sow the seeds. Is just all of a sudden there'll just be a little bit of knee armor, or just a small bit of cane somewhere to be like, wait a minute.
Really alternate Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Cane in knee armor.
Virgil just becomes super paranoid.
Yeah. I want to see that episode now. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Talking of
I can smell the bovril.
Talking of Ben and his ridiculous characters, Barry, of course, you won't have seen this in the edit, but he needed a few minutes to come up with something. And the idea he came up with is that he has a daughter as a robot. And we did kind of push this a bit. In particular, Josh, a bit later on, you were like, you have a daughter. I was like, yeah, don't ask too many questions. I thought it was really funny.
Again, that wasn't really what I was trying to do there.
No. No, please go on. Tell us more.
That conversation, incidentally, that conversation about the daughter, Jeffrey didn't care. The whole point of that conversation was to disarm Barry and make him, well, in theory, where and this is where stuff meta kind of blends into itself. In theory, talking to someone about their daughter is disarming because they tell you about their kid. And that allows Jeffrey the space to attack without being counteracted. Yes. However, the opposite happened. Because Ben was going, I just made her up just now. Don't worry about it.
So, it was very funny, though.
It kind of had the opposite effect. But hey, it's all fun and games.
But yeah, he managed to come up with the idea of beach buggies, which I thought was very funny. I mean, obviously he was just trying to think of more Australian stuff, and he was like, what's Australian? Beaches, that'll do, right? Beach buggies.
The beach buggy thing is so funny to me.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it just, this is a silly thing that, again, we take a stupid idea from nowhere and just run with it, and they became quite integral in the end.
Oh, no.
So entire episode, so it's even more brilliant. But I thought that was a really funny thing, and then he goes and pays for it with happiness points, which are my new favorite thing in this universe. Is the happiness points. I mean, maybe they'll make a reappearance, but I love it.
I think they've got, like, we've got to find someone trading in happiness points just somewhere, just some random trader. You know, like get like Bitcoin people who turn up, and they're like, Bitcoin. You want to invest in Bitcoin? You get it for someone who's like, you want to invest in happiness, mate. Yeah. Get on it now. It's going to be worth millions. Exactly. You watch. 10 happiness points.
Get yourself some happiness.
Get on it.
It's hilarious that. But yeah, as per usual, nobody wants to pay for anything. So there you go. And of course, just to make things even weirder, Virgil decides to try and shoot the beach buggies, and Ben says one of the strangest things I think I've ever heard in my entire life, which is, I've got some saving tongs. I just thought, what the hell? That was a moment where I was just like, what am I doing with my life? That there's a thing called saving tongs, and we're actually thinking about this.
Well, I think he just didn't want. I think he just didn't want the buggies to be destroyed immediately, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But and then I think that was just one of those where he was probably just looking around and like, what have I got? Oh, some tongs. Which, by the way, didn't those just come out of your kitchen about 5 minutes beforehand because we were trying to find a prop for Barry?
Yep, exactly that. Yep. That is 100% what happened.
If I recall, you bought props for Bov, and then Bov wasn't in the episode. So me and David had props. I had the glasses, and David had the gun. And we were like, what should we get for Barry?
There you go, saving tongs.
Saving tongs and a spatula.
Well, it worked out quite nicely. I'll give him that.
Why not? You know.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it's the glory of improv, really, isn't it? Just yes and it all the way to saving tongs and a spatula.
There you go. We could have gone further.
Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. I'm sure we have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It will come. Yeah. So, then you guys make your way down to the ship, which is still the Annabelle. I decided that I want you guys to have like an extra mini ship now, like a little skiff. So that's why I added in what has become known as the Sheila. Because I thought, I think it was in the last episode, two of you wanted to go off and do something else, and there was almost no way to do that.
Oh, right, is that why you did it? Okay.
And I thought this could be a little way to allow people to, go off and do something a little extra over here, over there, without it becoming quite a difficult thing.
Good to know.
I do realise that perhaps I have, what is they calling it, hoisted by your own petard. But
good to know.
I may have caused myself more problems by revealing that. But I like that idea that there's a chance for something else to go on instead of you all being stuck on this one path. But yeah.
I didn't actually realise that was what it was for. But that's interesting. Yeah, accommodating. Well, Nan, basically.
yeah. Let's be honest. Yeah. Well, to be honest, Barry's been on one as well. So
Barry is of essence of Nan. I think just a bit chaotic, but in a slightly kind of nicer way. Just wants to go make burgers and happiness for folks.
And then so you boarded the Annabelle, and I decided that I wanted Dr. Walker to hang about a bit more, because I think he's quite an interesting character, and especially a chance to have him interact with like somebody who he doesn't know about in Jeffrey. I think interesting dynamic.
I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting to think of like how much he knows or how much he's aware. Because I don't know, because I don't think we've ever genuinely kind of discussed it, which I suppose makes sense because I don't think any of the personalities actually know. Maybe Jeffrey knows, I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting. No, Jeffrey definitely doesn't know. None of them really know what's happened there. So I think there's a very interesting little story thread, and it's probably the one commonality between all the personalities, perhaps with the exception of Rot, in that they want to know why they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. And then I suppose there's, Jeffrey and his I want to hang around, I'm going to fix myself in place, because I think Jeffrey understands how fragile his existence is.
Yeah. By the way, David, that face was very scary.
I know. I was doing the here's Johnny face.
We're not at Halloween yet, mate. We're getting there, but
nearly there.
Yeah, not long. Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick myself on mute so I'm not smacking my lips. Do
you mind?
When I'm eating this chicken.
Do you mind before you go, David? Can I just ask you this question, which was about the?
I'm staying. I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah.
Fire away. I'm opening my chicken. Hang on.
So, you obviously said that you wanted to work on one of the buggies for Barry.
Yes.
Did you? Because originally you said you wanted both of them, and I thought maybe I'll we'll have a bit of both. We'll have a bit of fun with it.
Very true.
What would you have done if you'd have got the second buggy? Would you have done something different to it, or would that have been a grenade as well?
I think I wanted to do both, so I was absolutely sure I was going to get Barry. It was fucking burgers.
I think that, if you think about it, the reality is the person you were going to get was Barry's daughter.
I realized when he said it, I was like, oh shit. I was like, when am I going to go back and disarm it? Oh shit.
Turns out you didn't need to.
Yeah.
I didn't need to. Yeah, I'm really thankful.
Turns out you accidentally created just the best plot device ever.
Yeah. I love because it came out a lot sooner than I was expecting. That's what was so good about it.
Me too.
Right. Yeah, that's brilliant. But yeah, that's I think Ben had a good idea there. Get Dr. Walker to make some changes, some improvements. Which basically the buggies could do, or one of them could do a lot more than what we were expecting, which is quite nice.
I like that he went full on Silver Surfer with just a beach buggy.
Yeah, basically a child's beach buggy.
A child's beach buggy.
and also you saw Hog as well, the wild boar, now fixed, sort of like a rubbish pet.
It was certainly a naming choice, I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
I loved him.
Yeah, I know.
We had that thing before, but that was just a misunderstanding, poor communication. But me and him, we had a bond, as we'll get onto, I think, maybe.
I mean, I think you can't beat like
what happens later in this episode near the end.
You can't beat a pet, can you? In a role playing game, like we had the rats in D&D, and in this one we have a giant wild boar, mechanical wild boar. Not really wild, is it?
That's only the beginning.
Mech boar.
But I just thought after him being in the last episode, being the bad guy, I thought I'm going to bring him back as a good one, and see what happens. Thank God I did, because he actually got me out of a couple of little scrapes that I wasn't quite sure about. So.
There's an Ex Machina joke in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Boris Ex Machina? I don't know.
So you make your way to the SS Blink, and I love that moment of maybe we should hail them or try and talk to them and stuff like that. And Barry's just yelling "mate" at them, just trying to get their attention. You gotta love it.
I don't know if that's a very Australian thing or not. Probably not. Just a very Barry thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Jeffrey tries to wind down the windows to talk to them. And I love the fact that Virgil's in the back going, but I won't be able to breathe. Like I need air.
I think genuinely Jeffrey was just enjoying himself, because I think there's a large degree of like, well, Jeffrey has his plans, and he's enacting them quietly, but he's willing to enjoy himself. He likes a bit of fun, he'll go along with it. He embraces the chaos as like a passenger, and then he strikes out.
But yeah, so you actually enter the Blink, and you basically see that everybody's dead, which was the plan anyway. So that's good. And they've all been killed by the Flotsam, which were these squid-like, weird, tentacled things with sharp teeth. And the idea was that they'd be able to like crawl up the walls and the ceilings and stuff like that. And I was kind of getting a sort of vibe somewhere between Alien and Dead Space. That's what I was trying to go with in this episode. And I know, David, you picked up on the Dead Space stuff. So, kind of. It got.
I was in my element. I was like, good boy.
Yes, yeah, you really were. You really were.
I was loving it.
That bit where you were on your own and you're just like, now I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very good.
I prepared for this moment.
Yeah. So of course you have your fight with the Flotsam, and you start absolutely massacring them, which is not what I expected. No,
it's very true.
I mean, I started off by doing a 3-on-3, and I knew I'd probably bring in more. But we did the first 3, and I think they were all dead before any of them actually got a real chance to attack you. So I was like, okay, let's get some more in.
I was very shocked I was hitting all.
I think
I had some good rolls.
I think that's probably as well the first time we've all decided to fight in a fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that had ever happened before, which is probably why it seems so unbalanced to you. Is because it's the first time we actually all tried to participate.
That is so true. Do you know what? It is really difficult to balance a fight.
Oh yeah.
When maybe at least one of you guys won't actually participate, because you're just like, I've kind of put this so that it's kind of supposed to be sort of even, and it's not now. But to be honest with you,
fudge it a
there's
bit,
always. Yeah, see, well, the thing is, there's always a way that it comes back. So, I think Barry in Lasers of Feelings 4 didn't want to fight for quite a long time until he got shot in the grill, and then it was on. I just thought that was great. the fact he's trying to talk them out of it and stuff like that. I thought it was brilliant.
Just burger them to death with food poisoning.
Yeah. For those who don't know, he has a grill inside his stomach. It wasn't his face.
Yeah.
You know. And did they eventually get in his grill because he put them there, or in the last episode, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
With the Flotsam, I think they did. Yeah.
Oh no! Rock ripped out the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
the
in
last
the last.
episode.
That's right. It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking that, like you say, the Flotsam actually, I think he ended up getting 3 in there, which was really good. I quite enjoyed that, to be honest. So yeah, that was a bit crazy. So yeah, you kind of you did quite well in your fight, but it's probably the first time that I can think of where I knew, even with the fight you were doing, you were pretty unlikely to be able to get out of it, by winning the fight, because there's going to be, there are boxes and boxes of these things. There's going to be a load of them on the ship, and it was sort of also a way that I wanted you to venture deeper into the ship as well. So yeah, I think we got to the end of the second or third round. And I thought, okay, this is the point. So I, decided to bring a load more of them in. And then Virgil pulls a pin on the grenade and chucks it. And then what I thought would happen is everybody runs immediately. But then everybody wants to go... Excuse me. Everybody wants to go off and do other things, first of all, before getting out of the room after the pin has been pulled on the grenade. What the bloody hell?
Of course. I mean, I don't really know what you expected at that point. We are prone to the chaos. We like the explosions. We want to watch.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is that it was a really good idea, blow up the place. It's just, I kind of assumed you wanted to get out of the place before blowing it up.
Wouldn't be chaotic enough if we just kind of calmly walked out, would it?
That's very true. But yeah, that was a nice idea actually, from you, David, to sort of
blow shit up.
Use up the rest of the grenades. But you always had the backup. That's the thing. You always knew there was one in the bag,
or in the buggy.
Yeah, all right then. So then we come to one of the more interesting parts of the episode where you enter. I think it was. It was the moment where you need to do a spacewalk. So strangely enough, I mentioned to Ben, because I think we had a break just before this. When that fight ended, we had a break. And we went to we were sort of talking about what happened so far, and Ben said to me, how's it going so far? I said, we're pretty on track, things aren't going too bad, one or two little things here and there, but it's fine. And then I mentioned him, you said something that worried the crap out of me, which was he talked about doing a spacewalk over to the Blink from the Annabelle. And I was like, no, we're doing that later. But I couldn't say that. But in my head, I was like, please don't do it now, because this is meant to be like a little set piece for later. And thank God you guys didn't in the end. But yeah, that's what ended up coming next, is the space surf, I think, is what you could call it. All that, sir, to be honest. But I did think it was interesting. Virgil didn't fancy it, I take it.
Sorry, stream. I only just eaten dinner, so I excuse myself. Hustle or Alive. Okay, so what did I think of this? I thought, hey, knock himself out, hopefully. So Virgil wasn't really interested in that. He was like, I like to breathe. So I don't want to risk it. So I stayed in the ship and went walkies.
Yeah, I was nice enough to give you a spacesuit. I regret it now, but...
No. I think I did put it on just in case, though, didn't I? But I didn't go outside.
That's true.
It's the smart thing to do, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that leads to the great moment of Barry on his surfboard waiting for the door, and then Jeffrey on top, on his shoulders, waiting like... I mean...
Well, I think we'd already established that in the last episode that Barry was so big, we're not entirely sure how big, that Rot in that case could just sit on the grill at like a kind of papoose or something.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's probably more akin to like Leamington and Breeze situation.
That's true. It did bring that to mind, definitely. But yeah, I like the fact that just that moment, I could just imagine it in my head, just that moment of you both there with, I think in the end, Jeffrey shot the door. And I could just imagine that moment of you just, right, let's go. Whilst waiting on a bloody surfboard. And Ben trying to sell me that being on a surfboard would make it so much easier in space and how he should get a second dice roll.
I mean, he was kind of surfing in space. I don't know. I mean, technically.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it's so funny.
Very funny. I enjoyed that a lot. I mean, any opportunity like that to kind of add that little bit of character, what do you call it? Definition? I don't know. It's a predetermined character trait.
Character development.
Flavour, I would say. It's not even development.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of flavour to the character that they already have.
A bit of seasoning.
So a little bit like 800 pound steak with some 15-pound gold leaf on it, you know. Yeah, it's great.
That's a lovely moment. Of sort of the two of you heading out over to the back to the Annabelle, and I actually I quite like the way, Josh, that Jeffrey had a sort of like a secondary plan just in case the inevitable happened and Barry mucked up, or Dr. Walker in the end actually mucked up.
Well, that's valid physics. That is.
Yeah. Exactly. We see. Don't say we don't teach. I
don't know that I'd want to try that personally. You know, getting stranded in space with just a fire extinguisher, but
that's true.
You know, hey, it works. It works.
And then, of course, you get to Dr. Walker, and he gives you the mines, as he mentioned to you. Now, obviously, at this point, I knew what type of mines they were, and I knew they weren't standard mines. I knew they were dimensional mines, but obviously, I'm not going to tell you that. However, I thought, do you know what? If you guys managed to place them in the correct places, like I'd mentioned, I might, make things a little easier at the end, give you some extra bits and pieces, because I'm technically giving you a task, and you never complete any task I give you. So, so I was sort of in the back of my mind, I was like, be nice to them if they do it, but you didn't do it. So
you were right. You were right to predict that we wouldn't do it.
That's right.
Perhaps not in the way that we wouldn't do it, but
Yeah, that's true. But God, that was funny. So you get your mines. Ben gets his buggy, which annoyingly kept rolling so well for how it worked. So it was like how well it was made was I rolled a 5, so I was doing 1 to 6. How good is it? And then how safe is it? Got a 6, and I was just like, okay, well, it's just the best thing that's ever been created.
Perfect.
Yeah, I know it was, wasn't it? It's just.
Proper Silver Surfer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's exactly what we needed in the end, wasn't it? But yeah, it was great. Then, of course, that fateful moment when Jeffrey decides to go looking for the other buggy.
Yeah. I think So we said before, you know, the dice told the story. Even looking back on the episode, I didn't realise just how many rolls needed to line up for that to work. It was so many. And some of them were like very clutch. There's a couple of feelings rolls in there with Nan later on, which are like they should never have worked.
No.
Crazy.
That is so true. Yeah. I suppose that's the nice thing. I mean, you know, you're doing it right when either way that the dice fall, you've got a good story, and I think that's definitely what we had. Especially as we went further into it as well. I think there was just so many different dynamics and so many different things that could happen.
There's probably only one thing that I would have done differently in the entire run of rolls. There's only one thing. I'll tell you later what it is that I would have done differently, because otherwise I feel like it was kind of perfect.
Yeah, I agree. So before we go to the betrayal, shall we say, from from Jeffrey, we did pop back to Virgil and his loot getting.
Yes.
So yeah, you did all right for yourself, didn't you?
I thought, you know what? I'm living a Dead Space experience. What kind of loot can I find? I was just literally being for those who know about the Dead Space game, and if you do, get this character reference. So Isaac, the character's name in Dead Space, and when you're at the hard top levels, loot is hard to find. If you want to live, you need to find some. So I kind of just tell my inner Isaac and went loot hunting.
Yeah, I kind of, you know, as soon as you sort of asked what's in, you know, what's in, what was it, the cafeteria or something like that? The mess hall, that's what it was. What's in the mess hall? And I thought, I know what you're looking for. So I gave you those. Yeah, I gave you those lockers. But I made you roll to see if there was something in there you had to kill. So.
I was just like, oh.
I had to. Come on. But you rolled well, and managed to get away with it. So I think, do you know what? Something I need to make sure I remember, because I gave you an extra 1,000 credits and said that means that you are allowed to get an extra item whenever you want from the store. So yeah, make sure you keep that in mind as well, and I'll make sure to remind you.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be that one episode, like 10 episodes later, like season 2 or something, and be like, remember that time?
Yeah. That's so, yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, but there you go. And you got the you got the welding kit, and you got some extra medical stuff as well to sort of improve your medical kit. So
that I always use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, actually worth going on a loot raid, as it were, to try and find some things. I think it's the first time that's properly happened, apart from Barry going into the cave to look at Dr. Walker's stuff.
That's true. We never do that.
No, that's right. And I didn't actually have anything prepared, but I sort of had some ideas of what we could go with.
Something I'll loot for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Tune in next time when we start burgling houses.
Yeah. So there we go. That's the next episode. So we come back to Barry and Jeffrey returning to the Blink in the Sheila. And we're just having a nice conversation, aren't we, Josh? Just a lovely conversation and nothing else.
Oh, yes. Nothing sinister at all. Yeah.
There's that great moment of just, and now I'm going to pull this out and whack it in the back of his head. And I think all of us are like, huh? What? No, what?
Well, do you want to know a little secret?
Yes, please.
Ben knew that was coming.
No, did he?
That's how planned it was.
Wow.
And you noticed, I mean, that's the one moment that I rigged to happen to a certain degree, with getting all the right loot and stuff like that, and then turning around and reminding you that this should be a triple dice roll.
Yeah, which it was.
I was like, I'm going to reduce this, because that's Jeffrey in a nutshell. It's like nothing, perfection.
Wow.
So it was premeditated by a long way.
Wow.
I think I'd first had the idea. I don't know. I think me and Ben were going on a shoot to somewhere just for a separate filming thing, and we're just chatting in the car about what would come up. And I was like, "Oh, I've got an idea." Will you go along with this? Because I wanted to make sure that it could happen. Because it's not really. It was never designed as an anti-Barry thing.
Yeah.
Particularly, it was more just an extra method of control for Jeffrey in the world, and I certainly didn't know what was going to happen next. But yeah, very premeditated.
Yeah. Oh, that's as you can tell from my surprise. I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea anything like that would happen. And I thought it was a brilliant touch. I mean, and of course, Ben just coming up with the thing of, he's been shut down. He just goes, nah.
Yeah, that was so perfect.
Brilliant.
I don't even know. I mean, I assume that was just a spur of the moment thing. He might have had that in mind because he knew that it was going to happen at some point. But it was. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was such a cool idea. You get back into the ship, and you are sort of thinking about how to get around. You've got Barry on your side now, and you decide to use the buggies.
That genuinely wasn't premeditated. That was. No. I think I was perhaps vaguely aware that obviously Virgil had done something to it.
Sure.
Unlike, because this is different. Like last time out, I knew, with the EMP, I was aware that there was something there, and it was probably going to have more or less that effect.
Don't give us that look, David. This little, who, me?
I think I'd basically I'd either completely forgotten about it or was just like, I didn't really care. And couldn't, as soon as it went off, I was like, this is so perfect.
Oh, yeah.
You could have written it. No, this is specifically what you would have written if you had the chance to write that story. And that was one of those moments where, this is so perfect that someone's going to accuse us of setting it up. But really, completely not.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember you saying this to me, Josh, that it was just, it was like we had written it.
Yeah.
It was that good, and it genuinely was. I mean, the thing is, it was all set up. And then it was sort of if we get, if I was thinking in my head, if we get a chance to do this, great. If we don't, no worries, we'll pick it up down the road. But it was almost immediate. That's what I loved about it so much.
And it's the same. It's the same with the Jeffrey Barry intervention thing. Is that wasn't really a setup for that episode. That was meant to be just something that sat there in the background and ticked away until something happened. But the fact that just all of the stars converged and it just created this perfect little apex moment of storytelling. Yeah. Thanks to quite a lot of lucky dice rolls to that point as well, including the bomb going off as well. By the way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thank goodness. What a story it told.
It was so good. And of course, Virgil, I had to make you roll for this. Because it's your bomb, I did actually think about.
It was only right.
Yeah, I did think about doing it another way, but it just felt right. It had to be. It was your bomb. It had to be you rolling. And the bomb goes off.
Was it not another perfect roll, another 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. There was so many good rolls in there. I really can't remember.
I rolled really well that night in general. I was just what's actually happening right now?
We all did, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, of course, Barry is covered by the buggy that rolled a 6 on how good the safety was on it. So he was fine.
He was screwed from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then he decides to try and use the device immediately, which was.
Of course he does.
Hey, took it, Barry. Hello in the chat.
Oh.
Hey,
Barry!
Benjamin, good to see you there, mate. But yeah, he decides to try and use that device, and of course he's Australian, so he has to bowl it at
you. I mean, that was another one. That was another one of the dice just telling the story, because I was like, oh no, please don't let me immediately be turned back, because that would be so boring. It's just like it's gone off in the most spectacular way, and then I immediately get turned back into Jeffrey. Would be really boring, and then luckily pulled off the most clutch pair of dice rolls. I think it was a feelings both times, and I got a 6 and a laser feelings, which is just like, what are the odds in that?
Crazy, yeah, I know. Yeah, no, again, the dice just worked for us, didn't it? And you're right, it wasn't. It would have been a bit different if you changed back immediately. I mean, it would have been a different sort of funny. But it was right that it didn't, because the fact that you're chasing each other around this very small area, just trying to get away from each other, was hilarious.
The most perfect little chase sequence there.
Yeah, it was. And of course, that leads to Barry getting. I think you managed to disconnect that, and the Sheila, and it sucks Barry outside of the ship, which kind of leads to a brilliant moment where the two of you, Ben and Josh, have to roll to decide who's going to get there first. Whether Nan manages to close the door or whether Barry manages to get in. And for the first time ever, we had a contested roll to see basically whoever was highest was going to win it. And God, that was, I think it was a 2 and a 3 or something.
Yeah.
Even that was close,
Again, just like so perfect. It's really, it's funny, isn't it? Because you have these games, and literally it's just us sat around a table rolling dice. That shit was so exciting.
Yeah, right.
We were genuinely like, whoa!
Wasn't it just?
It was great. I think that's probably the highest level of like excitement that's happened in one of the games, thus far.
Yeah.
Where just everything was like by an inch, things were happening, and it was all like super high stakes. Like, it would take very, very little for that whole sequence to be totally different.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
I know. Yeah, it just went perfectly, didn't it? It went perfectly with what was going on. So I was going to mention a little bit about Virgil, but we'll come back to some of it in a moment when David's back. But of course, we went back over to him to give him a chance to explore the rest of the ship. And there's a moment in the cockpit where he realizes, hey, David, we're just talking about Virgil now. So there's a moment in the cockpit where you realize that the ship is close to exploding.
Yeah, that wasn't really. I was like, this is the kind of loot I like.
Now, I will let you into a little secret and tell you that at no point was I planning to have an explosion on the ship, because I was hoping you were going to do the explosion. But then I realised that's not going to be happening.
Well, I don't have the mines. They do, and they're fucking around.
Yeah, I know. But because they had the mines, and I was just like, well, that's not going to happen now. So,
well, absolutely. If they've got them, then I think Virgil would have probably done it. But well, there we go.
So there's a lovely moment where you then go down into the engine room and you see
lovely. Is that how I describe it?
Yeah. Okay. I'd say so. Yeah. And you see the Flotsam mother just so you're aware, you made the right decision to run.
I was just like, yeah, no.
Yeah, you definitely made the right decision. Because that thing is not an easy kill. Let's put it that way. It's a proper tough thing. On your own, I think you'd have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah, you make the correct decision to start running and head back towards Nan and Barry, only to find that Nan's freaking out and Barry's outside.
I'm like, I don't need this right now.
So
And you go,
good.
I like that one of you's trying to get in and one of you's trying to get out, and you're both panicking. Just at each other.
Go back.
It's even funnier because you're sat next to each other, look at each other, let me in! Get me out!
Which one are you?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
I mean, again, it's just perfect storytelling of like all of that stuff just converges in the same point and creates the stupid situation where someone's trying to go through the door in both ways to escape.
Brilliant. Yeah.
You don't want to go that way.
Yeah. So
fact,
good.
You know what I should have done? After you. And then just weld the door shut.
I will say though, you did come up with a brilliant way to stop the mother from getting to you by welding the door up. Brilliant. Seriously, I hadn't thought of that at all. Perfect use of the welder. Well done.
Yeah, panic welding.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Roll for panic welding.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
However, what didn't work perfectly is what happens next.
Yes.
I mean, perfect for us, but maybe not for the characters. Which is
especially the ones that breathe oxygen.
yes, as you said, Josh, you gave Barry the god weapon, and he done used it.
I was really impressed. I thought that was such a clever use of it. I'd kind of forgotten it was there, to be honest. And then to have it turned around and used against me, basically, was great. I was like, that's fantastic. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't think I even made him roll for it because it's such a clever idea. And yeah, exactly, what he could do with it. Fantastic. So, yeah, he gets that door open, and the two of you go spinning off into space, which is very funny. It's the fact that you're holding on to each other, and Nan, you're just shouting at him, just telling him what's going on. Poor Virgil's just there going, okay, right, yeah.
This is where I die.
But somehow it wasn't. However, there was a death, and we have come to that point. So, yeah, this is the moment where I realised, explosion on a ship. We're getting near the end. We need to think about how long this explosion is going to take. So I thought, make it fair. I'm going to roll a dice. Let's see how long until the explosion takes. It'll probably be like, if I roll 1, it'll basically happen straight away. 2, 3, 4, but it would be like a few seconds or whatever. And I rolled a 1.
Yes, you did.
Which was perfect at the time, but I also realised, there is one character that is basically right next to the ship, and it will be in a lot of trouble here. So we had a discussion about whether to kill Barry or not, which you saw. Now, I actually
that trailer though for this. Oh, that's so
good. Yeah. That moment at the end of the trailer of us all just going,
freak out.
Yeah. Baker Mars called it. I was waiting for Bov to fly by it to the rescue.
I mean, that's not very Bov though, is it?
I do feel responsible for this because I did say it. I did say the words.
That does feel right. But yes, you did say the words. But it was interesting because originally that wasn't going to go on camera. We were going to have that conversation, and then sort of once we decided what we wanted to do, whether it was okay to kill the character or not, then we'd sort of have something to go on camera. but it was such an interesting chat, and we came up with the idea. And as I was editing it, I was sort of watching it and thinking, no, I think this should go in. So I ended up actually putting it into the edit, and I'm really glad I did.
I think it works.
I think it adds to the stakes because we're talking about whether it's okay or not to do it. And Ben very kindly puts it forward that it's okay, you know, as long as they roll a 1, which David suggested.
Hey, if you roll.
And even more interesting, if he rolled a 2, he'd be able to get over to you guys and try and plug the device back into Nan. So, you know, there was something to be gained. But no, there wasn't, because he rolled a 1. And unfortunately, this did mean that Barry was soon to depart this world.
Virgil didn't end up killing him. It was me all along.
You were going to be involved in some way. It's just how.
It was a pretty spectacular moment, it has to be said.
Yes. And I think it was a moment where we all kind of stepped aside and just let Ben do his thing, because he had some ideas here for what he wanted to happen. And there were some really cool ideas. Trying to get the sort of god weapon back over to Nan one more time.
That's the one thing that I would have changed to make it all perfect, is that Nan gets hit by the god weapon at the last second and brings back Jeffrey right at the last second.
Yeah, that would have been very interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, unfortunately that fails and the weapon gets destroyed, which I'm quite pleased with. But I do realise it can be remade, so a little bit worried about that. I've given Josh ideas now.
No, I mean, I was fully aware, because I built it in the first place out of like 3 bits of nonsense. So.
Well, think it's Star Wars. They built the Death Star like 3-4 times, haven't they?
Yeah, true.
Try again.
I think it's more interesting to try and build something else that does something else that has that much power. But like, I liked the fact that it was something that was accumulated over the season, as opposed to like a thing that was built in one episode, because it's more interesting, I think, to piece the puzzle together that way.
Very true. But yeah, that was in some ways a shame, but also it just meant we didn't have to panic about it later. So, but I mean, you know, if it had worked, then cool, we'd have carried on with it. The Buggy heads off to his daughter, which I like. I like the fact that it's been programmed to do that. And yeah, then Barry gets to the point where he's going to crash into the Annabelle. I really like the fact that he brought up, you know, is there a chance that I can save myself if I roll double laser feelings? Which, I mean, technically you should be allowed to do, but it felt right. It felt right just to give it a chance, you know. But unfortunately failed that roll, and that was the end of Barry, I'm afraid. I honestly don't think. It's a permanent death. He is actually dead. You know, it's not we'll bring him back later. He is genuinely actually dead now. So sad, but no terrible burgers. So.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean,
maybe we just saved the universe.
Maybe. From terrible food poisoning virus.
There you go.
Yeah.
As well, I think it's good that again, to go back to talking about keeping the edit in and talking about these double laser. I think it's it's good to kind of do that on stream, because it is something that does happen behind the scenes with DMs and stuff going from like Dungeons Dragons side of things. Is that having a discussion like, you know, look, if you're going to walk into here and you know these guys are here and they're extremely dangerous, you know you might die, right? And they go, yep, right, cool. Yeah. Just so you know. Or it's kind of this thing of, just having those kind of conversations on screen is good. It just shows, I think, a lot of, it's just having that discussion.
It's worth it. It's worth it. So I think it's worth it in that case. I think that was definitely the right call to include it there. I feel like, I mean, you know, the style that we have is very editorial. Obviously, we cut down stuff a lot, and just to keep the pace along. It's not worth having every single conversation ever had, because a lot of them are generic or repeated, or things that are just kind of common knowledge, or knowledge that's perhaps quite deep cut and isn't necessarily relevant or interesting to a watching audience. But I think in that case, what it did do, as you said, is it raised the stakes, because it showed it was possible. It showed us come up with a very slim chance of it happening, and then it happening. And that was just extraordinary.
Roll for it.
Yeah.
Like, look, giving you the chance to roll, it's up to the dice.
Yeah.
Let the dice tell the story.
We can set the parameters, and that's what we can do.
Yeah.
In the end, the dice will do what they're gonna do.
That's it. Yeah.
So spectacular. It'll be interesting at some point, maybe towards the end of the year, when we have our kind of end of year thing, to go back through that episode and just count how many dice rolls led to that moment. Because it would be really interesting to see, because there's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened based on a dice roll, and I suspect it's probably a good 10 dice rolls or something like that.
Oh, easily. I mean, there's so many things. If one thing would have changed, I mean, even if David's roll for the bomb wouldn't have been good, something like that, then we wouldn't have got to that point.
Even if David manages to shoot the buggy back in the shop, that
true.
failed, which means the buggy's there to be used later on, which means that it blows up, and that leads to all of that stuff, and then it's so much. It's quite extraordinary, and a lot of really one number rolls, or with me and the laser feelings and the feelings roll that are 1 in 3 rolls. It's a crazy amount of odds that just decided to stack up, which is quite extraordinary. We've never had that in any other episode, I don't think.
No, but you're right. It's very crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's nice now to, we realise death is possible. It's not something that's going to happen often. I'm not looking to kill your favourite characters, but in this case, I think it was right. It felt like it was the correct thing to do. So yeah, I was very pleased with it.
It's good to have stakes. I think it's good to have the possibility of death.
Definitely.
Yeah. And also, even if it's the case that sometimes the things you go, I kind of wish that didn't happen. I think that's why we watch certain TV shows, because we're like, oh man, why the hell that happened? And it's like that's where it's how we're responding to it. It's like, if the directors could see it, he goes, yes.
It did very much feel. Did very much feel like Game of Thrones episode 9 territory, didn't it?
Makes you wonder what's coming next, eh?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, well.
Find out in a month.
Yeah. We have filmed that episode. And
Yeah. And we're talking, for those, we're not talking lasers, are we? We're talking about D&D.
No, we're talking lasers.
That episode, we're talking lasers.
Yeah, lasers. Well, to be honest, we've done the next D&D, haven't we? So,
all
the
the D&Ds for this year are done, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say that. So we know what happens now.
Yeah.
We have all the spoilers.
Yeah.
So looking at that.
We have the spoilers, and we're going to tell you them now.
Starting with.
No, we wouldn't do that to you. So, yes, unfortunately, Barry is no more, but you have a problem. Dimensional portal has opened unexpectedly, and is pulling in the blink, and you have to stop it. So using the Sheila and using the Hog, you have to help to keep the ship from being pulled into the portal. So this was quite an interesting moment, because I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really planned exactly how this would work. I thought I'd just work it out when we got there. So I was kind of making it up as I went along.
No, really? Never happens.
Game masters and dungeon masters never have to do that.
But also all a part of the plan.
So I like the fact, first of all, that Nan actually manages to pull off exactly what he was trying to do using the Sheila to sort of help push things away. But the real drama comes from Virgil and Hogg, and the fact that we almost lose a second character.
I'm saving that Hogg, man. I'm saving that Hogg. I tell you.
I genuinely thought he was dead, and then you came up last second. I think it wasn't even you.
No, it was Ben.
Yeah, Ben mentioned about the grappling hook, and I was like, well, yeah, no, it would make sense. So, yeah, that idea, and I like the fact that you roll to see if you even got the grappling hook. I didn't tell you to do that, by the way. You did that yourself.
Yeah, for me, yeah, I know. Sometimes I do, like, some of you will see, I kind of do that thing of, like, I run games too. I got this idea. Obviously, I wasn't trying to crash on there, but
no.
I pulled a thing from D&D, which is sometimes, like, it's known as, like, a luck check. So it's kind of like, if we're not sure of something, you're like, right, let's roll a luck check and see. And usually you go with the kind of 10 to 20 is good. 9 below is bad. So in this case, and then in this case we used 1 to 3 mixed of the d6. Yeah, I got like above a 3. So
nice.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, so you managed to actually save Hogg, which was not what I was expecting, to be honest. As soon as I mentioned I think he's dead, I was just like, yeah, no, he's definitely dead. And then you come up with that last roll to save him. Brilliant.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good sort of character.
What else has died today?
Yeah. But of course, you see the Blink enter the portal, and on the other side, you see Space Station Aurora, but it looks slightly different, which is very interesting. I don't know what that means.
The scene of, was it Cloverfield Paradox?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, maybe we will find out.
When will they find out? We might as well just say.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, as you will know, there is Halloween coming up. And I know, right? Whoa. And we decided, as part of the post-sanity Halloween Hallow stream. Really, there we go. Which is taking place on the 30th.
I do believe it is the 30th of this month. So in 10 days' time.
Yeah, exactly. So
ridiculously.
So that is a Saturday, not next Saturday, but the one after.
Saturday week. Yeah.
We will be doing a live Lasers and Feelings, just like we did for the Saniversary. Another live Lasers and Feelings, where maybe you'll find out a little bit more about what happened to this ship.
And some returning characters from said Saniversary.
Oh, yes. I am so looking forward to seeing your character again, Josh.
Oh, dear.
Death is not the farmer.
I wonder what he's been doing all this time, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Not being a farmer.
Yeah.
Not of crop, anyway. Unless he's done a Thanos and just settled down on a farm.
But yeah, that should be a really fun episode. So I'm looking forward to running that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what those characters have been up to, because we haven't seen them for a few months now.
Been a while. Wow.
Tiberius Relish is the most ridiculous name.
I love it so
what a name.
much.
What a name.
What a great name. What a great name. That's got to be somebody else at some point. Hey.
Well, we almost come to the end of this episode, except for the fact that Virgil got how many happiness points was it? I can't even remember.
I think it was 10,000 happiness.
I think I forgot. Like, I was like, yeah, sure, okay.
I really like that.
Nobody roasting this hog today.
And Nan was given a spatula, I think.
I got the saving tongs, didn't I?
Oh, that was it. The saving tongs. Yeah. That was it.
Mahal.
Oh, I've got to build something with the saving. I see. I'd forgotten that when we recorded the last episode, so I'll have to build something with the saving tongs.
Yeah. But then, we leave the episode with Dr. Walker mentioning that he may be able to use the remnants of Barry. So perhaps there's something new coming.
I like the idea of like a Game of Thrones mountain style
Terminator
situation where Barry just comes back as like this huge Terminator.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you want a burger? Come back as Terminator Barry.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I will tackle you.
So we come to the end of this episode, but
you have to get out back.
Got to get out.
But we do have a new episode on the way.
We do.
A new D&D episode, D&D episode 5, which is crazy that we already got there. This I can't believe we're on 5 episodes for each. It's nuts.
Yeah, episode 5 is really interesting.
Yes, episode 5 is very interesting. So I believe we have a trailer.
We do indeed. Aye.
All right.
Oh my god. Let me get on Twitch. Hang on.
Okay.
Wait.
We'll wait.
Wait, everybody. I want to watch it. Don't do this to me.
I'm
on
looking forward to this.
I might be on the stream right now, but I want to watch. I don't know why I've got Russian.
We haven't had a Russian character yet.
Oh no.
Anyone else dies?
Okay. It's on right.
Okay. Are you ready?
Screw
Everybody
Oculus. Oh
yes.
no, Oculus, go away, Oculus. I don't care. I don't care. I can't afford VR. Go away. I want to watch this effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Right. Okay. Here we go, folks. This is the trailer for next week's D&D episode 5. Enjoy.
You cast command.
Yeah.
You say open.
Yeah.
It does not open.
Oh. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's a 2.
Hold hands. It's all hold hands.
I must be rolling more D100s than freaking anyone in history.
Out of the tree line is this giant
Teddy bear.
wolf.
That is big.
You'd have thought the drink would have done that.
I think it won't matter.
Nightbreeze?
He rolled a 1.
Oh no! What have I done?
There you go, folks. Short and sweet.
Now, stupid me, I didn't plug in my headphones properly, so I didn't hear any of that.
It'll be on YouTube soon enough, so you can watch that on there if you so wish. It'll be out and about.
Jeez.
And you can watch the entire episode next week at 9 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yes.
For your viewing pleasure, and you can see what all of that is all about.
That is a crazy episode. There's
Yeah.
we are very busy in that episode. Let's put it that way. There's a hell of a lot going on
at the very end of it as well.
Yes. Yeah. That is a very interesting moment, isn't it? Do we have a name? Or I'm not sure if we do yet.
I've forgotten what it was that we said at the beginning. What did we say it was? I can't remember. I think we'll just leave it because I can't remember what it was that we said it was.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So you'll find out next week what it's called. It'll be in the Twitch name.
Yes.
Oh, it'll be on the trailer when that goes out, presumably over the weekend. But yes.
The boy that cried wolf.
Yeah. That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Well, we'll riff on it and we'll come up with some ideas and see what we want to do with it. But yeah, that's good.
There are variations to that. Yes, indeed.
Inspo.
Well, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary pals, do we have anything else to talk through before we finish off?
Oh, I think we're good.
Fair enough then. Well, in that case, I suppose we should say goodbye, and a big thank you for joining us for this episode, which was so much fun. It really was.
Oh, the best.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, do not drink in Quest. Quest responsibly.
Don't Android and plan.
Perfect.
Right. Yep. I think Josh is talking about Androids. I think Josh is stuck in a glitch there.
Anyway.
All right.
Perfect.
On that note, I feel like we should say goodbye. Thank you for joining. Do come by on next week on Wednesday for D&D episode 5, and join us for the Hallow stream on in 10 days' time on the 30th of October, the day before Halloween, where we will have some lasers and feelings, and we shall have some other things. There may be some guests, there may be some other things. I'm not entirely sure yet. It's not entirely organised yet, but it's Hallow stream. Come through.
Yay.
Come through.
Yes, absolutely. Brilliant. We'll see you there.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.